the closing doors, please.
What to say, guys? This Mets team is pretty much exactly what we have figured them out to be at this point, and that is just wildly, hilariously inconsistent and just not all that great of a team. I mean, they have been up and down and up and down and up and down all season long, and they cap it off here today by getting the snot beat out of them now in the first two games of this series against the Phillies. They don't even show up. They don't even show up to the ballpark tonight. They couldn't do anything yesterday despite trailing only 1-0 the entire way. Couldn't figure out a way to get back in and win that game yesterday with Nolan McLean pouring his guts out for this team on the mound. And today, it's the same old crap. It's Sean Manaea with 2 outs and nobody on in the first inning, giving up 3 consecutive hits for a 2-run first for the Phillies. And then the very next inning, 2 more runs, both of those coming with 2 outs. Despite picking somebody off, it's a solo homer to the 9-hitter. Otto Kemp, scrub, hitting him deep into left for the home run. And then what do you know, of course, because why wouldn't it go this way? Harrison Bader hitting a home run himself. He has 2-3 hits tonight. What is he, 15 for 25 against the Mets this year between his time with the Phillies and with the Twins? You just can't script it. You just can't make up this kind of pain. Only us Mets fans can go through the type of pain that we go through on a year in and year out basis, on a nightly basis, as they are just throttled tonight. 4-0 most of the way. Finally, Vientos gets them on the board with a solo home run. You knew it wasn't going to matter. You knew they weren't going to come back and score 4 runs, period. But then you leave Justin Hagman in there to soak up the rest of this game. And of course, we all knew eventually the Phillies were going to break through against him. And it comes in the form of a 3-run bomb, the 50th homer of the season for Kyle Schwarber. 2 more in the 8th, and a feeble fake comeback attempt for the Mets in the 9th as they drop game 2 of the series to the Phillies by a final of 9-3. They are now 10 games out of the National League East. I'm sorry, check that. 9 games out, but doesn't matter. 9, 10, 11, doesn't matter. The NL East is over. We know that. They are not catching the Phillies. But now we got to be concerned if this team can even hold on to the final wild card spot. We saw that lead shrink down to 3 after the Giants just continue to win, sparked, of course, by Drew Gilbert, who the Mets traded to him. That's all you see on baseball's social media pages now, is Drew Gilbert acting like an absolute lunatic for the San Francisco Giants, who are surging, and right on the Mets' heels for the final wild card spot. Not to mention the Diamondbacks playing better baseball, the Reds still hanging in, are kind of in the race again, while the Mets continue to puke all over themselves. You will sweep Philly 3 games at Citi Field. How do you follow that up? You lose 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. Then you go beat the Tigers in Detroit 2 out of 3. And how do you follow that up? Arguably the most important series of the season this past weekend. You lose 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati. You give them life. Exactly what I said couldn't happen. I said squash the Reds. You win 2 out of 3. You can forget about them the rest of the way. Nope. Mets get shut down by Hunter Green on Sunday, and it seems like ever since then, this offense has looked limp. Just absolutely brutal. Let's go to the chat. What's up, guys? Jimmy James C., they're not going to make the playoffs. My goodness. If the Mets don't make the playoffs at this point, it is one of the most disappointing seasons in Mets history, and that is saying something because, boy, oh boy, have we seen some really disappointing seasons in the history of this franchise. If they don't make the playoffs now, after the offseason they had, signing Juan Soto, this being year 5 of Steve Cohen being the owner for this team, if they don't make the playoffs now this year, wow, that is an all-time choke job by the Mets, a team known for all-time choke jobs, as we all know. Armand don't deserve to make the playoffs. I like that. Yeah, honestly, the way they've been playing for the last, let's be honest, 3 months, they don't. Pretty much since the calendar hit June, for the last 3 months, the Mets have been a below 500 baseball team. I don't know the exact numbers, but they are a under 500 baseball team from June, July, August, and up here until today, the second week now of September. They don't deserve to make the playoffs. Let's be honest. They built a big fat cushion in the first 2 months of the year where they got to 22 or 23 games over 500, and they've been a lousy baseball team ever since then. They don't pick the ball well in the field. They have no starting pitching outside of the rookies. The relievers are up and down, but for the most part, majorly disappointing. The lineup is completely just Jekyll and Hyde. You never know if you're going to get a 15-run breakout or if you're going to get the slop that we got these last 2 days in Philadelphia, or even going back to Sunday, although you give credit to Hunter Green, tremendous pitcher. But this lineup is just so bipolar. You have no idea what you're ever going to get out of them. Mark Rapp, hey, you're alive. By the way, this team sucks. This team does suck. I'm sorry I missed the last 3 post-game lives. I have not been feeling so well myself here, as you guys could probably tell in my voice, and probably because of the Mets. No, not actually. I'm actually just a little under the weather here, but definitely not looking good, man. Looking like this team does. Schurfer says Phillies are built well. No starting shortstop, third baseman, or ace doesn't skip a beat. I mean, you would think as we enter this series with him placing Trey Turner and Alec Baum on the injured list. Wow, opportunity for the Mets here. They're missing 2 pieces of their lineup. They don't have Zach Wheeler, obviously. Still have some pretty good starters in that rotation, but an opportunity where the Mets could maybe actually come through and make this division still a race in these final couple weeks. Nope, not at all. Phillies don't skip a beat. You're 100% on the money there, Mr. Churfer. Meanwhile, the Mets get Jose Siri back today. Oh, thank goodness we got Siri back. That was the missing piece all along. Yeah, him and his 173 batting average. That's what the Mets needed. Jimmy James C says matchups aren't favorable going forward. 2 more against Philly, then the Rangers, who are fighting for a wild card spot. San Diego, Washington, that's the best matchup. Yes, Cubs, and then the pesky Marlins to close the season. I can't believe we have that many series left. I am so ready for this to be over, guys. The Mets have got me worn down. Truly. I truly do think they actually contributed to me getting sick this week. I do believe that. The Mets have just worn me down, but nope, it is not an easy rest of the way there, Jimmy James C. Not by any means. The Marlins always give us fits. Series of the season down in Miami. That will not be fun, and I've said it on my streams here many times before, guys. The Mets better have a playoff spot locked up by then, because I can't handle that. I cannot handle them choking it to the Marlins like they did in 2007 and 2008. Of course, those at Shea Stadium. I just cannot handle that. But yeah, Rangers are still fighting for a spot. We got these 2 with the Phillies. I think the Mets have played their worst baseball at Citizens Bank Park this year. The 3-game set they had with them back in June, and now here these first 2 games of this series. It's insane. The Mets are just like, you flip a switch and they're off. They're on or they're off. There is no in between for this team. They are either kicking another team's ass or they are getting their asses kicked. It is just crazy with these guys. And of course, yeah, San Diego, Washington's the best matchup, but let's be honest. I mean, we don't play Washington all that well either. We just got our butts kicked by them 2 out of 3 out in D.C. We choked 2 of 4 games to them in Washington, D.C. as well earlier in the season. Yeah, we have swept them twice at Citi Field this year, but they haven't played them very well lately, that's for sure. I'm trying to make sure I get the stream all good here, guys. I think we're having some issues, so I'm going to try and close some programs here. Stick with me, guys. Be sure to leave this video a like. Again, apologize for missing these last 3 games. Fell under the weather a little bit, as you can probably tell here in my voice. But Michael Selton, this is so bad. It's the worst. It's the worst, man. I can't do it to myself anymore. It is killing me, really. Earl D, it doesn't seem like the playoffs are in the cards for us this year. There are just too many things to overcome. I mean, they have dug themselves an incredible hole. They have the really deep hole that is going to be hard to come out of. And we're talking about this. I mean, the Mets are still 3 games up for the final wild card spot. But if you watch this team on a daily basis, if you watch the amount of opportunities that they squander, not only specifically in these games, but just in terms of their schedule and the softer spots that they didn't take advantage of throughout the second half of the season, or the way the pitching has gone. And just games like today is a perfect example where you put Justin Hageman out there for 7 or for the final 3 innings of this game, and it ended up biting them in the butt. I mean, I don't think they were coming back to win that game. I totally blame this on the offense getting completely shut down by Ranger Suarez, and of course on Shamanaya coughing up 2 runs in each of the first 2 innings of this game and putting them behind the 8 ball. But you watch this team on a daily basis, and great, they're now 3 games still up in the wild card race. Great, but you can a very great baseball team. They're a good team, but they're not a great baseball team. That is for sure. Rose took some great issue with Juan Soto stealing that base there in the 7th or 8th inning, I believe it was. So Soto had the RBI single at that point. I believe it was 7-2 with Vientos Heat at first. He steals third for what is his 30th stolen base of the year. That gives him a 30-30 season. Howie Rose was not happy about that on the radio call for the Mets tonight at all, because that would have been the final out had it been a good throw from Real Muto to third base. That would have been a very, very ugly thing. And I just hope that this isn't going to start causing any more drama and any more type of issues in that clubhouse, because they already have everything on their plate that they can handle, and they're not handling it very well at all at this point. Michael Selton, when is there going to be some accountability in the clubhouse? I mean, at this point, it's just poor performance. I mean, you can't really hold people accountable for just not doing the job. I mean, that sounds ridiculous when I say it, but just for not being as good of baseball players as we thought they were going to be this year. And if you want to talk about accountability, why don't we start taking a look at this general manager who it looks like is going to have one of the worst trade deadlines that you could possibly imagine. I'll give you a handful of reasons why not only have the players he brought in woefully underperformed. In the case of Ryan Helsley, Cedric Mullins, who was an absolute stiff. Tyler Rogers has been okay, not great, and Gregory Soto, I would say the same thing. But let's also take a look at the moves he didn't make. He could have just simply signed David Robertson out of free agency. No, instead, he signed with the Phillies. Okay, so we end up using more of our trade stuff that we could use in trades to get Rogers, to get Helsley, to get Soto. Okay, well, you could have went for Johan Duran, but no, he instead chose Ryan Helsley, who's been an outright disaster. Okay, and so he also goes to the Phillies. And then let's also just stick with that theme. You could have brought back a guy that was great in the clubhouse for this team last year in Harrison Bader, a guy that would have immediately been a huge fit and a huge upgrade from what the Mets have gotten in center field this year. And instead, they trade for Cedric Mullins. And Harrison Bader, guess what? Where does he end up? With the Phillies, and he continues to absolutely torment his former team. You just can't make it up. So if we want to talk about accountability, let's talk about the general manager, because his grand plan of bringing in these guys at the deadline while also failing to make any real meaningful additions in the offseason to this lineup, with the exception, of course, of Juan Soto, it's looking like David Stearns continues to think he's the smartest guy in the room, and that does not appear to be the case, not with based on how this team is going right now. Tons of holes in this team, guys. I don't know what is going on with the stream. It sucks right now for some reason. I'm trying to fix it as I speak. Let me get back to the chat. Mr. Cheerful says, what's with the stat padding by Soto? Most empty 30 for 30 ever. Yeah, I mean, dude, like I said, how not pleased with him trying to steal that base. 2 runners aboard and a power bat up in the batter's box. So, yeah, not a great look for Juan Soto trying to steal that base 100%. Michael Selton said, if they get a split, then I'm okay. Yeah, I mean, look, they could still split this series with the Phillies. That would be great, obviously, but there's no confidence. There's nothing that gives me any confidence to believe that that's going to happen. Not based on how they have looked these first 2 games. Not based on how they looked the final 2 games of the series this weekend with Cincinnati. I mean, they look lifeless on offense. Their starting pitching outside of Nolan McLean has been garbage. The bullpen, it's okay one day, the next it's bad. I mean, again, I'm not going to get on Justin Hageman for being asked to soak up these final couple innings here today. Shamanaya really didn't give them any chance to even settle into this game. And all of this with 2 outs. All the first 4 runs for the Phillies tonight coming in with 2 outs. Just failing to be able to put these innings away. And it just, the Mets today. I mean, it's just a brutal, brutal way to start this series here with the Phillies. I'm going to go back to the chat. Armand says the Jets had a better showing against the Steelers than the Mets have had since June. Disgusting. I know. Could you believe that? The Jets actually looked like a competent football team for a little while on Sunday. Definitely more confident than the Mets have looked so far against the Phillies. That is pretty crazy to think, Armand. But hey, we'll see. Maybe the Jets actually will have a somewhat decent season, but not counting on that. Absolute losing streak alert, 4 in a row, ladies and gentlemen. That is 4 losses in a row for the Mets. I mean, I know the other teams don't play till later tonight on the West Coast, but I am not going to be doing any scoreboard. I can't take it. I can't put myself through it, man. The Mets are not playing good baseball. Now we have to hope other teams trip up themselves. The Mets control their own destiny. If they just win these games, they have nothing to worry about. But instead, they continue to just puke all over themselves. Michael Selden, I thought we had something special, but I was wrong. Nothing really ever told me this team was super special this year. I thought entering the year, yes, because I thought we were going to get Mark Vientos from last year. I thought that they were going to continue to have pretty good starting pitching, although there were going to be some concerns, of course, with, hoping that Frankie Montas was going to turn out to be good. And, then when Shamanaya gets hurt in spring training. But I thought coming into this year that they were going to be a World Series contender. But nothing that I've seen on the field, even when they were 22, 23 games over 500 in the middle of May or whatever it was before June, nothing ever really told me this team was super special. Even when they were winning those games, it was like, all right, 3-2 against the Pirates, 2-1 against the White Sox, where they can't get a base hit for the first 5 innings. None of that pitching was sustainable, as we know, and that has come cratering back down to earth now over the last 3 months. But there's definitely a lot of work to be cut out for this franchise, this organization heading into next year ahead. But they definitely massively analyzed how good they thought this roster was going to be this year, and it has come back to bite them in the ass big time. Omar Nunez, the Mets are embarrassing if San Francisco takes this playoff spot. Think about what that means. A seller team who sold you their elite setup, man, hoodwinked you. They stole Buteau, 2 prospects, and a playoff spot. Couldn't say it any better myself, Omar. That is poetic justice. If this happens, and that is why I said earlier, this will be one of the worst collapses for me as a Mets fan. And again, saying something considering 2007, 2008, all the other bad, ugly years that this franchise has had us fans endure. But the way you just put that, Omar, is so on the money that if the Giants end up taking the 3rd wild card spot from our hands, when we just tried to acquire their top reliever in Rogers, we sent them Drew Gilbert, who is absolutely just ignited and sparked that team. Jose Buteau is pitching well. I mean, you got pitching well now. I can't even remember the freaking Blade Tidwell is pitching well for them in AAA. If that is how that goes, my goodness, this is going to be an all-timer. An all-timer. Great comment from you, Omar. Absol says, Mets should have got Bader. Instead, we gave up 2 prospects for that bum Mullins. I mean, it was such a turnkey fit to just bring Bader back. I know he had another year of control next season, but guess what? Tyrone Taylor's a free agent after this year. Obviously, they don't want to block Carson Bench, but Bader's a useful player, especially if you want to put him in left field. The way that Brandon Nimmo has looked defensive, not good at all. I don't know what they're going to do with Brandon Nimmo heading into the next couple years of his contract, but he does not look good out there in left field by any means. Feels like it takes him forever to pick a ball up out of the corner. So yeah, you could have found a way to use Harrison Bader, who's still elite defensively, and oh, by the way, has absolutely kicked the Mets' ass all year long. 15 hits and 25 at-bats or something like that against the Mets this year? What the hell? I would have taken it in a heartbeat, bringing Harrison Bader back over that stiff Cedric Mullins, who again, yesterday, can't get the job done. Hitting below 180, can't even sniff the field, and when he does, it's because it's a lefty-righty matchup. Paper should work better for him, but it doesn't. It doesn't seem to matter. Mullins has been an absolute disaster. Omar Nunez says Stearns has outsmarted himself. He's been hoodwinked. He thought he was being smart by not spending the money on an ace. Got trash reclamation projects instead, then fees hoodwinked at the trade deadline. I mean, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. David Stearns, Harvard graduate, smartest guy in the room, going to patchwork his way to a starting rotation. Looks like of all the guys he could have paid from the rotation last year, he chose the wrong one. Unfortunately, Shamanaya does not look like Shamanaya from the second half of 2024. He's got the bone spurs in his arm, loose bodies, whatever the hell it's called. I mean, this is looking like a disaster of a 3-year, $75 million contract. Just not good, man. Just not good at all. almost everything that Stearns has touched this year has turned to crap. And you don't give him credit for the Juan Soto trade or for the Juan Soto signing, because we know that was Steve Cohen's pocketbook that got the job done. That wasn't David Stearns going in there and getting it done. That was a whole organizational presentation from the Mets and from Steve Cohen, and of course the giant paycheck that went to Juan Soto. So not really sure what David Stearns has done all that well now heading into his second season with the Mets. Mr. Churfer, we don't seem hungry. We're playing as if we have a spot locked up already. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, man. They just got totally lambasted today by the 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the second. Ranger Suarez just dealing 9 strikeouts in the first 4 innings. I mean, this team just it's like they didn't even get off the bus to play these first 2 games against the Phillies. Yesterday, the lineup couldn't do jack. You're getting good pitching from Nolan McLean, keeping you in that game. You get your chance in the 9th. One of the worst at-bats you'll ever see from Francisco Alvarez to strike out there. Of course, after Jeff McNeil had already struck out before him. And then today, you get off the bus, and before you could even settle into your seat at Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies have a 2-run lead in the first. All that coming with 2 outs. The next inning, Manaea picks a guy off. 2 outs. Back-to-back home runs for the scrub, Otto Kemp. And then, of course, for Harrison Bader. They kept it close, 4-0 the rest of the way until Vientos got the homer. But even at 4-1, nothing was inspiring me that they were going to win this game. And then, of course, eventually, as we knew it would happen, Justin Hageman gets tagged in the form of a 3-run homer from Kyle Schwarber. Just bad, man. Just really bad. Armand, per Anthony DeComo, Shamanai will make his next start. Carlos Mendoza said the Mets are not considering a role change at this time. All right, so we know obviously Kodai Senga is down in AAA. The questions, of course, arise about, hey, maybe the Mets need to do this with Shamanai, but I mean, they almost have nobody else to go to at this point. You have to kind of ride with Shamanai at this point, despite how bad it's been. I mean, give him a little bit of credit for pushing himself and getting through 5 innings, but it doesn't matter. The damage was already done. His failure, inability to put hitters and to put innings away have been killing him all year long since returning from the injured list. So he's going to get another crack at it. And I mean, the Mets, there's just not many options. There's just not many other options at this point. You already put Senga down in AAA. Tyler McGill just got shut down. We're not going to see him again this season. Frankie Montas, not that we'd ever want to see him, but obviously he's done for the year getting Tommy John surgery. There's just not many other options. They dipped into all the prospects that they could. They've gone with Sprout and Tong and McLean. So what else are you going to do? Start throwing bullpen games again? Do we need to call Richard Lovelady back and Rico Garcia? Should we do that again? Oh my God, what a disaster, man. This team is killing me. Mr. Churfer, if Soto got thrown out, he could just add that stupid decisions on the base pass late. That would have been horrible. Thank God he didn't, but I'm sure there's still going to be a conversation about it. We're going to listen to some sound here in just a second from SMY, see what everyone has to say. Sandman, Tony the Legend, give Mookie a big hug. Was a tough season. Tough season so far. Let's see how much more pain the Mets have in store for us, but I definitely will give Mookie a big hug, Sandman. Abzo, hey, Uncle Steve, spend some money next year wisely. I mean, that's the bottom line, is wisely. You know, we didn't want to pay Harrison Bader, so we decided we would trade for Jose Siri. How well has that worked out? 21 games now. Guys hitting under 200 for this team. Barely played, obviously. Meanwhile, Bader's ripping us apart with the Phils. Did it earlier in the year when he was with the Twins. Mets traded Eric Ortze to Tampa, who has turned into an excellent reliever for them. You think the Mets could use a little bit of that from Eric Ortze in their bullpen right now? Ugh, just brutal. Sada Music. Mets forced Manaea back too early. Dude's clearly laboring. Well, I do believe that they basically said to him, you know, you have these bone spurs or whatever they called them in his elbow, loose bodies, and said, look, it's not going to get worse, but you may not be yourself. Look, I already missed the first 3+ months of the year. It was never supposed to be that long. If it's not going to get worse, I'm going to give it a shot. I think that's where it's at. I don't think the Mets actually truly forced him to get back out there. I think they gave him that opportunity to do it, and he said he would pitch through the loose bodies in the elbow, but he's going to be getting a major surgery this offseason. I mean, you could bank on that. You could just tell he is not right, and it's killing this team. All the starters' performances outside of Nolan McLean, Brandon Sproat, obviously, we only got 1 so far from him. Jonah Tong was okay in his first, and now, yes, the other one was, you know, not the home runs. But the starting pitching is hardly giving this team a chance to win. But then you have days like today where the offense is completely limp at the same time. So, Mr. Chirper, we are stuck with Manaea for 2 more years. Let's hope this offseason surgery can salvage some production from him. Yeah, I don't know what's going to be with Manaea. But again, like I said, you could have brought Luis Severino back. You could have brought back Jose Quintana. They chose to sign Manaea, 3 years, $75 million. And it's looking like that was the worst pick of the lot. So, not great. Ryber Fox Manaea became a different pitcher after Mendy spoke to him. Why is no one acknowledging he finished the game very strong? He did, like I said, pitched much better there to round out his day. So, that was nice to see, pushing himself through 5 innings. And the bats just were silent up until that point. And then finally you get the solo homer for Vientos. But, obviously it's tough when you get put into that immediate 4-0 hole in the first 2 innings the way they were, but definitely happy to see Manaea at least be able to push his way through 5 innings in this game. So I'm going to share my screen here with you guys. We're going to listen to a little bit of sound here, and I'm going to wrap it up here pretty shortly. Again, I'm sorry for the last 2 or 3 days where I couldn't be with you. Again, just getting over an illness here, and you can probably hear it. I'm not sounding so great or feeling too great either. So we're going to keep this one relatively short, but let's go ahead and listen what what Carlos Mendoza had to say about Sean Manaea's day.
Your confidence level in him going forward now?
I mean, this is a guy that we're counting on. He was huge for us last year. I know this has been a struggle for him. And obviously he's frustrated too, but we're going to need this guy. We brought this guy in here to make an impact, and our job is to, continue to help him. Obviously the last 3 innings were a lot better, and hopefully he can take some part.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Mendy, and I'm not mad at Mendy, but he keeps saying, we're going to need this guy, we're going to need that guy, we're going to need this guy. Okay, but we need them now. Right now, we can't keep losing games from these poor performances from all these guys. Insert player X, Y, or Z. When? There's 15, 16 games of the season left, and we are clinging to a 3-game lead in the wild card. Now 2.5 as of this very moment, depending on what the other teams behind us do tonight. When? It's got to happen. It hasn't happened yet. What makes any of us think it's going to turn around now here in the final 15 games of the season? I don't believe it. Do you? Let's hear what else he had to say. This one is about the wild card and how the Mets have been playing.
In the big picture, there's 17 games left. Your lead may be down to 2, 3 games by the end of today. What's your level of just concern that you guys won't be able to hold on to this lead?
No, we will. We're good. We got to play better. And we got to fight. We're in the middle of it. There's no time to feel sorry, or we got to fight. What was in the past is in the past. And we got to continue to take it one day at a time.
In the big picture, there's 17.
Yeah, one day at a time. Well, these days. So hopefully it changes here. Omar, San Francisco. It'll come full circle when Tyler Rogers re-signs with the Giants next year. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all. He does not look like he's very pleased to be here in New York. None of these guys that the Mets acquired at the deadline look like they're happy to be here. I mean, Cedric Mullins, you want to talk about looking miserable. My goodness. Then you got Helsley, who can't buy himself an easy inning except yesterday when the Mets still couldn't figure out a way to come back and win that game. I mean, geez, just really, really rough deadline. Not a good look. Let's see what he did have to say about Juan Soto if Juan Soto gets thrown out there at third to end that inning while the Mets are trailing 7-2. That is one of the all-time worst looking looks of all time.
Soto getting his 30th steal there. Did you expect him to go in that spot?
But, he got there. Obviously, this is a guy that you trust with the decision making. And, it's a big deal for him getting the 30 there. But if you'll ask him, he's not about his own stats. He's about winning, And right now, obviously, we're going through a tough stretch. But he's all about winning here. And but the fact that he got to 30 is pretty impressive.
I'm sure that he is about winning it. I'm not going to make this a bigger deal than it was, because at the end of the day, just like Mendy said, he was safe at third. So let's not make a bigger discussion out of this than necessary. But that's not a winning play. Trying to steal third with 2 outs in the 8th inning when you're trailing 7-2, that's not a winning play, okay? It will go down as a footnote because he was safe, so it does not matter. Mark Vientos ended up flying out. The Mets still lost, but that is not a winning play from Juan Soto trying to steal third there by any means. Let's hear what Sean Manaea had to say, and then we're going to wrap things up here pretty shortly,
Sean, what
guys.
was the difference for you after that second inning?
Said, screw it. Can't get any worse. And just let go and started the pitch.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's a good attitude to have. Screw it, right? Who cares? It can't get any worse. Yeah, you're telling me. I'm a Mets fan, Sean.
When you talk about the shift in mentality, how much did that conversation spark maybe what you were able to do the last three?
Yeah, Mendy, believes in me. So why can't I believe in myself? And it was just kind of a message, just go out there and we're gonna go this team.
Dude, I can't get over the fact that Harrison Bader's absolutely tormenting us. Like, why? Why? Could it not be Harrison Bader? Mets fan base says, what's up, Mets fan base? Dude, it's insane. Justin Turner, Harrison Bader, Daniel Murphy, I mean, Travis d'Arnaud, all of his years with the freaking Braves. It's just, why us? Why us? It always seems to go this way, man. OMG to SMH is right, Sandman Games. This is fine. GIF is the Mets since June of 25. 100% where the dog is just sitting there with the house on fire. That's it. That's the Mets since June. This is fine. No, it's okay. We were 23 games over 500 at one point this year. I don't know if you guys know that. Well, now they are 7 games over 500 and clinging to a 3-game lead with multiple teams fighting them for the final wild card spot. Guys, it is not good. It is not good. It is 4 straight losses for the Mets. They have been embarrassed by the Phillies here in the first 2 at Citizens Bank Park. And we have 2, 3, maybe even 4 teams fighting us for the final wild card spot as our deficit from the second spot grows. It was tied for the second wild card spot after Friday, and how quickly the Mets have blown that, just like when the Mets got back into the race for the National League East about 2 weeks ago, and how quickly they squandered that opportunity. They have done the same now with the second wild card spot in the National League, as they are now 3.5 back of the Padres. The Cubs keep winning, and now we have a bunch of teams on our tails for the final wild card spot. So guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Like I said, still under the weather. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to leave this video a like. Go ahead, do that right now if you have not already done so. Share this with a Mets fan in your life, friends, family, whomever. Really appreciate it, guys. You've gotten me now to almost 2.6K subscribers, which is awesome. That is about 1,400 since I restarted this season on my YouTube channel. So really appreciate all you guys for constantly really fun times. Not so much when the Mets are losing, but we try to keep the vibes up. Red Bear Fox says, Reds and Giants both winning early. Great. I am turning on the History Channel. I am not watching anything sports related for the rest of the evening. I don't care. Like I said, whatever happens with those teams happens. It's out of the Mets' control now because they refuse to play up to their ability and win their own games. So we will see what happens. But guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll be back another post-game show tomorrow, hopefully after the Mets can finally end this 4-game skid. But in